Welcome back to Never in Reverse. Today we have a very special guest, Nick Kiridzic with Staff Hero.
Control what you can control. You don't have to carry everything alone.
Nick Kiridzic is the founder and CEO of Staff Hero. Staff Hero is an organization that helps companies and businesses scale with remote workforce, primarily in the Philippines, with talented, skilled individuals.
People are going to make mistakes. I trust people and I let them fall, but I let them fall forward.
Before launching Staff Hero, Nick spent over a decade in the healthcare industry, building and designing systems to better support employees and customer service, to give them the ability to work smarter and not harder. Thank you, Nick, for joining us today. Welcome back to Never in Reverse. We have a special guest today, Nick Kiridzic. Nick, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, you gearing up for the holidays?
Yeah, man. The holidays are right there. It's quite the season, keeping everybody extremely busy and just trying to get through it, man.
Very nice. Very nice. Kids?
I have one 8-month-old. First Christmas, first everything. Yeah.
Oh, that's special.
Yeah, it's huge.
I know the feeling. I have 3 daughters of my own and my oldest. And then, I remember that experience. Well, Nick, where are you joining us from today?
So I'm in northern New Jersey, right by the George Washington Bridge, actually. It's
very cool. Yeah. But no, I really appreciate you, being a part of this and being a guest with us here. I mean, if you mind me asking, where'd you find us? Where'd you hear about us? What kind of sparked some interest for you? And
yeah, I mean, well, so I'd been invited to a few podcasts, and it seemed like a great opportunity to like meet more people in, I guess in the entrepreneurship field. I kind of was doing a little research and I found you guys, and I've listened to a few of your podcasts, and I really love how you guys went about things. I love how the questions you asked were really different than some other podcasts were asking. So they were really detailed. So I'm prepared to hear what you guys are going to throw my way. But it was just a great opportunity to just like talk to people and really just like, hear what other people had to say and then be part of that community as well.
No, exactly. No, exciting. No. And I think, as I've kind of done a little bit of homework and kind of understood, kind of your business career and trials, tribulations, kind of where your idea sparked to start Staff Hero. Correct?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, when did you see an opportunity? When did you see a niche there? What was the creative spark that really motivated you and drove you to kind of go down this entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah. And this is always like the first question is like, how did this all start? Yeah. When I think about that question, I remember a couple of years ago, being like an entrepreneur in the very beginning, like an entrepreneur in the making. The question is always like, what can I build that is going to add value to, I call it the marketplace, right? And then I could, benefit off of it and grow. I always loved building things as a kid, and I knew I wanted to build something. I knew I wanted to get involved in different departments, different areas of a business. I didn't want to just, be a professional in selling. I didn't want to just be a professional in finance. I wanted to do it all. And being in a business sounded like the perfect, gateway or opportunity to have that experience in. Mm-hmm. I didn't know I wanted to build Staff Hero, and I guess per se my company that I have right now. I was in healthcare for like 10 years, was doing sales for a very long time. And I remember looking into multiple different kind of business models, and I never really found anything that kind of like sung to me. And it's a long story, but really what happened was like, there was one moment where I saw value in what is called outsourcing. And I just used it for myself as a salesperson to benefit me. And then naturally, other people were asking what I was doing, and they were like, wait, I want that too. And then like slowly I helped people, and enough people started talking. And then naturally business kind of built. And I just remember just like being excited about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when you were in a sales role and you kind of brought on an executive assistant or a sales assistant to better support and help manage you in the wake of your sales activities, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty
Wow.
much. Yeah.
Wow. And what services or products were you involved in selling or providing in the healthcare industry?
It was particularly home care. So this is like sending caregivers to take care of patients in their homes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, which is a huge, I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen it with, my grandparents and other, family members. I mean, this generation of the baby boomers are coming of age, and, healthcare and support I'm pretty sure it's a pretty big crisis
Sure.
nationally. Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
opportunity in that.
Hmm.
But, so yeah, tell us more about Staff Hero. What products, services, industries, verticals, dynamics, what is cultivated that into Staff Hero?
Okay. Yeah. So Staff Hero is and it's considered what we call a BPO company, but in short, what you do is outsourcing. We connect businesses in the United States to employees overseas. Primarily, our company finds talent in the Philippines. That's where over 90% of our talent is located in. And that's in its most basic explanation of what Staff Hero is. But to a little bit more of a, I guess, higher degree, we really try to get a good finger on the pulse of what it is the company needs, and as well as what the employee needs.
Gotcha.
We're very heavy on the client experience, but also extremely focused, and we spend a lot of time and effort trying to figure out what the employee experience is. And I guess we just connect those two, and we just try to help manage the relationship between them both. A lot of mid to small companies don't want to outsource, don't really like hiring overseas. They don't know what that consists of. So we help educate them, show them that there is talent out there, and for a fraction of the cost. And it really helps businesses nowadays scale.
Yeah. And it's, I have a little bit of experience in this in my prior life and career. It's amazing how much global talent is really out there. And I think, you know, I was in a general manager's role. I'm just going to use my experience, for example. And it's a bit of fear, and I'm sure it's for you, it's guiding these clients and in establishing trust that, look, there's global talent out there that can support you from afar. We just get the technology in their hands. They can support you at any time, any place. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And I think we're seeing more and more of it, as global talent's coming and technology's coming to support that.
1000%.
And especially for startups, I would imagine, as they're trying to keep their overhead low, expenses low, keep operational expenses down, keep revenue up, and
Right.
still support at a high level. Yeah.
Yeah. 1000%.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in the reality of building a startup, right? So you guys have been in business how long now?
2 years. So we're still a baby. We're still a baby.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome, but still just rolling the sleeves up and going.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Still learning something every single day. I'll tell you.
oh, yeah, that's growth. Yep. And then, so are you still primarily, you're focus driven in and around healthcare, or are there other industries that you guys are involved in and supporting, or?
Yeah. So because I started in healthcare, and the way we grew and we became a company just came out of just word of mouth.
Mhm.
We got passed around from healthcare companies to other healthcare companies, and that just happened naturally.
It was just natural. Yeah.
Naturally. And so majority of our clients have been healthcare, especially since I come with the knowledge and understanding of like stuff like HIPAA guidelines and understanding how serious that is. That was something that was important to us building that part. But over time, it started to people in legal, finance, people in completely different industries that I knew nothing about. So that was an experience of its own, but we are supporting everything you could think of. I mean, we just got a jujitsu gym client. You know what I mean? That
Oh,
was
awesome.
completely out of nowhere, but it happened. So yeah.
It just fits right in. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, customer service and support. Yep,
sure.
exactly. In your experience, what, surprised you in a leadership role in sales to being a founder, CEO of an organization? I mean, what transformation in leadership there? Or is it just kind of coming natural? I mean, or what's your experience?
What surprised me is how much leadership is really just about energy management. I guess the way you put it. Like I
Great
saw how
perspective.
much I saw how much my team really like mirrored everything I was doing. If I was calm, they seemed to be calm. If I was overwhelmed, they felt it instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just growing up thinking like leadership was all about just giving directions, telling people what to do,
Right.
but it's really just about setting a tone. Stability is really just a skill that you have to develop if you're trying to grow a business.
Yeah. No, great point. Yeah, because it's sense it, feel it, and they're going to react to it. If they see uncertainty, they're going to be uncertain. If they feel that there's prize and promise and opportunity, it's going to build energy. Great perspective. Of founders that you've seen. I mean, you're working with a lot of startups, obviously, or small to medium sized businesses. When you see founders and leaders that are moving, that make the mistake of moving too fast. They're trying to grow too fast versus, finding processes and support applications or support services like yours. I mean, how do you help navigate that as you're in and you're consulting these?
It's tough because along the way, I'm also still learning a lot, right? But you're right in the fact that I'm supporting so many companies that are still small. I'm picking up great things that some of them have. I'm dropping some of the bad things that some other people have. So I'm getting their experience as well. I'm growing alongside with them, and I can bring that over to new clients who maybe are experiencing issues. So in a lot of ways, our company is not just like supporting them with overseas employees because I'm so involved heavily with them. I'm also lending them advice when I see it needed. I mean, and this is a very common situation with like sales roles that I fill. They ask me, well, what CRM are you using? What phone service or tools are you using to maximize? What's your experience with this? And it's fantastic because I know the answer to this question. I tell them, this is what I've used. This is what I see other clients using. This is what I've recommended. That really helps. But to kind of answer your question, one thing that I do actually see a lot of founders or small companies make mistakes in is they hire people way too fast and then they're just not prepared. They have no training set up. They don't have a system. They have
Wow.
nothing in
Yeah.
place. And they think that just hiring somebody is going to fix their problems. They think hiring somebody and giving them a title, they're going to figure it out. And that's something I see a lot of smaller companies tend to make mistakes with.
Oh, that's great perspective. Yeah, I could see it's like, let's just get a body in the seat and we'll figure out their SOP or what their responsibilities are as we navigate it. Yeah. In back to the leadership, as you're staffing and folks that you're working with or overseas different time zones, how do you guys manage this? I mean, how communication, I mean, obviously it's probably day and night time zones. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you manage that from afar?
So this is actually a question that I get 100% of the time, and I totally understand it because people are not aware what the culture is like. Say, for example, in the Philippines, it's a 12-hour difference, right? So right now for them, it's like 12 p.m. That's like in me, Eastern, I'm 11 right now. They're like about 11, 12-ish.
Sure.
It's typical and very common, ridiculously common in the Philippines to work what they call the GY shift, the graveyard shift. Ridiculously common. The BPO industry is the biggest industry in the Philippines. So everybody is working for a company that's in the United States or somewhere overseas. So the schedule is never aligned and they're very, very used to it. They're sleeping during the daytime. So you'll see the streets are empty. They're in the daytime and everybody's out moving at 2:00 in the morning in the Philippines. So I communicate this. Yeah, I have to. This is part of the education with people over here in the United States, the clients. I always tell them like, no, this is this is normal for
This
them.
is their culture. This
Yeah.
is they operate it more efficiently at a different time of day than we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And funnily enough, when I'm interviewing, I tend to find people, like I always ask them, are they okay with the schedule? I just want to triple make sure that they're comfortable with that schedule. And I've had opportunities where it was late schedule, meaning it would be daytime for them. And they would tell me straight up, no, I don't want a daytime schedule. I want the middle of the night schedule that they have.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
They want to stay accustomed to that. So
Yeah.
it fits. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
In your findings there in the, you know, you hear organizations that complain, you know, their fear of, you know, outside resources in communication barriers and education and technology. What are your findings that you've seen through your experience of the talent pool that the Philippines has to offer?
So there's always going to be something, right? Like in term culturally, it's completely different, you know. So what I would say, the people in the Philippines are extremely educated individuals, extremely hardworking. You'll find a giant pool of people who have the enthusiasm, the drive that we look for, that any company in the United States really looks for when it comes to hiring.
Right. Those
There's
characteristics.
Yeah. So a lot of fantastic soft skills, a really, really A plus, and it's not exactly difficult to find. The only thing that tends to come is there's going to be that accent. You know, like we hire, say, for example, in Philadelphia, we have some clients in Pennsylvania, and they're culturally, it's a little bit different than maybe some other states. Like Georgia is a little bit different. Maybe some other southern states are a little bit different. So when they're doing like maybe customer service, sometimes the client wants the person who's handling customer service to maybe understand the culture in that particular state a little bit. You know, like
Understandable.
in Pennsylvania, they talk about the gritty, right? I don't know how much you know about the gritty. But they want them to kind of maybe be aware of like what the culture in that particular state. So when they're dealing with that customer, they want them to be aware. So we're constantly trying to figure out how do we maybe implement maybe a culture training to people in the Philippines? That's a complicated long-term project. But yeah.
No, understandable. No, those are things you don't think about, because ultimately providing a service for an organization, and you want to, any customer service role, any support role, you want to make sure it's blending and meshing into that company's culture and who they're servicing in that environment. Understandable.
1,000%.
You know, from your leadership approach in healthcare to the startup, I mean, it sounds like you were a sales guy. You know, I'm a sales guy through and throughout, wound up in some leadership roles. I got burned out, you know, different dynamics, things outside of my control. But in your experience, where have you found your growth and support to build yourself up as a leader, you know, in this organization, to lead a team, to keep a direction, keep a vision, keep motivation?
Right. Healthcare taught me structure, and startups taught me speed. Now, I mix the two, fast execution with like real operational discipline. In healthcare, you can't cut corners. Let's just start with that. In startups, you can't move slow. So I had no choice with the two, right? And so combining both has basically become my superpower, I guess.
You know, I think about those, you know, the foundational pieces, you know, through the sales environment. But then again, you look at great salespeople, they're highly motivated, they're highly structured, they're diligent. In a lot of cases, natural leaders, you know.
But, sometimes.
Sometimes I've worked with some others where it's like, you got to reel them in a little bit, you know, but no. And you personally, you know, in your journey, what do you do for yourself, self-care, enjoyment activities, things to prevent your burnout, to keep, you know, motivation and follow through at a high level? I mean, what do you do personally to avoid that burnout for somebody that's in a startup that's getting started, that, you know, they're starting to feel maybe the weight? How do they cope with that?
Yeah. Great question. I mean, there's one thing I tell myself all the time is control what you can control, right? That was like a saying I keep on reminding myself whenever I get to those moments where things are getting scary and you're lost, you don't know what to do next. And I preach this to a lot of my leadership team in my company when they're experiencing that same level of stress, not sure what to do. It's control what you can control. So I always remind myself and remind everyone that you don't have to carry everything alone. I delegate aggressively. And this is like a natural thing that you develop, especially running an outsourcing company. It's all about delegation. And I know every company is like that, but I delegate aggressively. I choose to trust people. That's, I think, a huge problem a lot of startups get is they don't trust people to do the things that are important. Even though people are going to make mistakes, I trust people and I let them fall, but I let them fall forward. And I let myself step back when my brain tells me I need air. I give myself that moment of relief every so often.
Wow. Yeah. Cause you hear these success stories or stories of startups and the founders, they choke things. They don't, their fear of delegation and giving responsibility to trusted individuals. They don't want to let go of that control. Yeah. I mean, I've even worked for organizations that were 20 plus, 30 plus years old, and they had resistance and unwilling to delegate and let that expert make that judgment call or make that call. For you guys, when you cultivated this idea of Staff Hero, did you come together with a business plan? I mean, did you try to lay some foundational elements of what you thought this was going to be, or did you just dive right into the deep end?
Oh man, it literally, I dove right into the deep end, and like it was I was so scared. I remember being just so excited though. You know what I mean? It's just like
the opportunity.
I felt like my enthusiasm really is what most startups, when people are trying to like build a business, that hump of getting stuff going, that analysis paralysis before you start a business, you spend like days just thinking of a name, and then you realize like, I just need to start doing things. Like, forget about the name, forget about the brand right now. Let's think about that later. Just get the infrastructure out of the way. But it was really just blind enthusiasm. Fear was definitely an element. But I remember just like being like, this is my chance. This is my chance to do something that I want to do. And I'm going to really go at it,
Passionate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is your wife a huge support?
Yeah.
Cast?
Yeah. You know what? She's always amazed by it. And I love her so much for being such a cheerleader for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And my family is wildly supportive. My father was a business owner for many, many years, for 40 plus years. And I grew up wanting to be like him, I guess. So finding an opportunity where I could build my own thing was such a huge deal for me, my family, and just representing us. It just felt great.
No, it's nice. It takes a support system, and it takes encouragement. It takes motivation. I think most folks that have been in your shoes would say. The old saying is, for every great man, there's a greater woman or a wife.
Yeah,
it's in support of.
1,000%.
Yeah, no, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Takeaways here today for folks that are, got an entrepreneurial spirit, got an idea, want to cultivate it, put it in motion. What are some words of advice or encouragement?
I would probably start, and looking back to when I got started, I would probably tell people to stop doubting themselves. They were right. And even when they were wrong, they're right. And just move fast. Like, startups love speed. Like I was saying earlier, startups love speed. The death of any company is loss of momentum and just stagnancy. Just make things happen. Don't think about, the mistakes maybe you're making along the way. You have the room to fix them along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And just trust yourself and go. That's really what I wish I could tell myself, back in the day.
Yeah. So if you were to go back to day one, a mistake that you've made that you could go back and recreate or change, is there one thing in particular of a mistake or a trip or a fall in there?
Yeah. Paying myself a little too early, I think. It's funny, but I was really riding the wave of word of mouth. Word of mouth is a trick. It's literally a trick. If people
Wow.
are talking about you very early on and that's how you build your company, that's amazing. It's fantastic. But use
Hmm.
it as kindling to really build, get more.
Build the bigger
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
build the bigger fire. Don't start like cooking food off of that. Yeah, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
that's what I did a little early on. I started paying myself out and I was like, yeah, I deserve this because I got here, but truly I should have used it. I should have reinvested it a lot more aggressively and I could have gotten probably more ahead, but it's a good learning experience, I think.
That's, Jeremy, the founder of the organization that I work for, he made the aggressive choice to reinvest, the revenue, to keep it going. But you're right. You hear a lot of startups and a lot of organizations, you start peeling on it maybe a little bit too early, maybe too much, that it suffocates the revenue to reinvest, to recreate, to
Yeah.
evolve, evolution. So then you get stuck in these pain
Yeah.
points or these positions that you can't grow beyond. But
And
no, but
here's the
great
thing.
point.
It's here's the thing. It's like the customers you have, you don't know what's going to happen with them. It's not like a job. Companies do go under and then you lose that client. Client might not like what you have going on and that's okay. And you will lose them and you'll lose them so quickly that all that money you're getting that you thought you were getting or you're planning for or you're budgeting for, it's not real, and it's a different mindset. Like doing a personal budgeting over your actual company's budgeting, that's probably one of the most difficult things I had to kind of like get my mind over, and the differences and how do you manage both. It's something that I recommend everybody try to figure out as soon as possible.
Well, I think you're right. There's a lot of companies and organizations, no matter what industry, you don't account for attrition. And what is the lifespan in your evaluation? What is the overall lifespan of that customer? There is a time period in reality. No, thanks for sharing your experience. Staff Hero folks, if you're looking, for some outsourced support, talented support, I have a little bit of knowledge in this and myself through my experience. Global talent is out there. Technology is out there. If you're needing help, support, look Nick and Staff Hero up. I'm sure they've got some products, some services, supporting elements that are out there for small, medium, large business. But Nick, happy holidays to you and the family and the young one. Enjoy the moment. It goes by fast. She's 8 months now. Next thing you know, she's going to be 16. And that's where I'm at. But no, really appreciate your time today.
1000%. Thank you so much, Doug, for having me. I really enjoyed this. And to everybody listening, please reach out. We're staffhero.co. I'll be happy to help anybody and looking forward to, maybe potentially working with each other again.
Heck yeah. Right on. Well, thanks, Nick. I appreciate it, man. You have a good one.
You too, Doug. Thanks.